Hi guys!
Hello.
Today we're here with Leroy to talk about his experience with doing an MBA degree and what advice he can give to others who are contemplating in doing an MBA too.
Okay,
So I know you've done not one but two MBAs.
that's correct.
Okay, where were they in?
I did my first MBA in London.
Okay,
It was a full-time program for 2 years.
and
And my second MBA that I did was a part-time thing. I did it in Shanghai, China.
the one in London was a long time ago. Was it?
Yes, about around 20 years, almost 20 years ago.
Wow.
Yes.
And the second one?
Second one, maybe 10 years ago.
Okay, let's talk about the first MBA. Why did you decide to do an MBA?
Well, I was looking for a career change.
In
I was working in Hong Kong at the time. I was based in Hong Kong, traveling around Asia. It was pretty good, but I thought I needed something bigger and better. So I understand that doing an MBA is a good way to have a career change.
Why didn't you do one in Hong Kong?
Oh, and I also understood that you have to do an MBA in a top school, in like global top school. Otherwise,
But it was very expensive, obviously.
yes, it was very
would-
expensive. It was an investment. Not only the money you have to spend for 2 years, but also the 2 years of salary that you have to give up because you're not working, right? So the opportunity cost.
So you were looking for a career change, and then why did you pick London, of all places?
Interesting. Good question. Yes, at that time, 20 years ago, almost, MBA was really a USA thing, American thing. Almost all top 10, top 20 schools are in the USA. But at that time, I didn't really want to go to the US because I heard the US is like really USA only. I really wanted a more international and global career. Plus, I have not been to Europe before. So
Ever?
no,
And you
at
decided
that point of my life,
But you've been to London before.
I've been, no, actually not until then. I've never been to Europe, but I travel around in Asia a lot, but I've never had a chance to go to Europe. I've been to America for a few times for my friend's wedding and holiday, but never been to Europe. So I thought, okay, I should go to London. And London at that time was already very famous in Europe, our school. And I knew that it was really international. Not only the students are international, also the faculty, the teachers, professors, they are also very international.
Why did you pick a 2-year program then?
Good one. In the UK, most master's degrees are 1 year.
Yes.
But I think 1 year, there are a lot of 1 year program too in Europe and in the UK, MBA. But I thought that 1 year is too short because if you take away the summer holiday, it's really just 9 or 10 months. And by the time you get into the middle of it, you already have to think about getting out of it. So I think it's not enough time to really understand what you want to do and to understand different industries, what are the career prospect opportunities that you might have. So, and then you don't have a lot of time getting to know your classmates, building relationships, making friends, or even look around, knowing the culture in Europe. So 2 years is better than 1 year, I think.
And was it worth it?
It was totally worth it because it completely changed my life,
How so?
including meeting you subsequently. But that's another story.
For another day.
Well, I was looking for a career change. I was working for a Hong Kong company, not so small, not so big, and I was having a good time, doing really well inside the company, but it's still very small comparing to, I was lucky enough, I actually got a job after my MBA in a very large global company based in the UK. So it's completely different, okay? It's different scale of company size, and it's a global company. So I actually had a global career opportunity with that company, all because of the MBA.
Okay, and obviously you got, a big jump in pay, right?
Yes, that too. My salary increase in the beginning was not so big because in Hong Kong I was earning quite good salary already. But after like 2 years, I made some move within the company, and suddenly my salary become a lot more than comparing to before I went to MBA.
Good. And tell us about your MBA in Shanghai.
Oh, that was 10 years later. I was starting a business in Shanghai at the time, and it was actually my first experience living and working in China. And I knew very little about doing business in China, although my Chinese was so okay at the time. So I thought getting to know how things work in China, doing an MBA, a part-time MBA in Shanghai, in a pretty famous school, quite actually very famous school in China. It's a good way to get to know how things work in China and get to improve my Chinese.
Sounds great. So was it worth it?
Well, it was worth it in the sense that I made some good friends and I learned something about China, a lot more about China. And I still keep in touch with some of the people, and everyone in that class, they are all entrepreneurs, business owners, hardworking, and they have become successful. And it's good to get to know these people in Shanghai. Otherwise, in Shanghai, my life was like hanging out with the Westerners and the Hong Kong people. I don't really get to know the local Chinese people. So it was a good way to get access to that community and getting to understand what they think and how they work. So it was totally worth it, and it's not so expensive.
Okay.
And it's only part-time. I didn't have to give up anything.
So let's talk about the actual academic content of the MBA courses. The one in Shanghai and the one in London. How are they different?
It's very different because one is in Chinese, one is Western and international. Okay, so our school is very famous for finance, very strong, because London is a huge international financial center, right?
Yes.
So we got world-class professors teaching finance. It's really hardcore if you want to, because in the second year you can choose to major in finance or major in whatever you want. I chose to major in finance, and it's like really hardcore advanced stuff that we get to learn and practice. Whereas the program in China is more like haha, wee, wah, wah, all the soft stuff, Chinese philosophy, how it applies to business. Chinese, of course, government policy, it's important. Okay,
but it's important for China, right? If you do business in China, it makes sense.
Yes and no, but I think that is a different subject.
So for the London MBA, was it easy to graduate?
Okay, typically when you get in, we have 240 people in our year. I think maybe 3 or 4 disappeared. And it's very rigorous. It's very demanding, a lot of work and exams and group work, projects, and you have to attend all these job interviews and company events and all that. It's very demanding, but it's hard work, but it can be done. Once you get in, usually it's fine.
And the one in Shanghai?
Oh, the one in Shanghai is even easier.
Did you have to write in Chinese?
Yes, but it's mostly, typed, right? It's mostly group work, so it's fine. It's easy.
It's easy. Good. So a lot of people wonder, we're in 2021, we've had this pandemic since last year, and we're overloaded with information every day from the internet. So do you think it's still worth doing an MBA in this day and age?
I think you're coming from a perspective of doing an MBA to learn something academically.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays, if I want to learn something, I just go on YouTube.
That's totally right. If you are coming from that direction, no, then you shouldn't be spending your money and your time doing an MBA, because most of the things that, well, I can't say that, but it's not that important to learn those things. I mean, the real objective of a full-time MBA is for a career change, for most people anyways.
Okay.
So learning things it's like a side effect. It's great. I learn a lot of things. It's really interesting. But do I get to use it in my job? No. Well, actually I did, okay, because my first job was finance related. Okay. But for most people, it's like your university degree. Do you ever use even 20% of what you learn in university in your job? Probably not, right? So it's not about learning stuff. It's not about learning academic stuff. It's more about having an opportunity to have a career change.
So you should just go in if you want to have a career change.
Yes, if you want to if you want to have a career change, I'm talking about a major career change, like changing from one industry to another, like changing from one country to another, okay? Then doing a full-time MBA in a good school is a good way to achieve that.
So how do I choose a school that's good for me?
Good one. Okay, so typically people look at the rankings. There are several rankings from different magazines and organizations. But pretty much the characteristic of good MBA programs, you can look at two things really. Okay, first you look at, because they publish all these data in the ranking, okay, one of the column is how much did the average student earn before they get into the MBA in terms of salary, annual salary, and how much do they get after the MBA program, first 1 year and 5 years and something like that, okay? So the top school, they all have a pretty big increase in the salary before and after. That's what you're looking at, right? Before and after. So if a school has an average salary increment of 50%, it's pretty good. Some have 70% change, some even double. Okay, so you want to look at that, those schools that actually can produce result. The result being better paid salary, yeah, for the graduate students. That's number one. The second one you want to look at is what kind of companies come to this school to recruit their students. Okay, so if you look at the school's website, they don't even say that, then okay. But a lot of very large, very big companies would go to top MBA schools to recruit students. But obviously they cannot go to all of them, so it becomes very competitive. Okay. And then can I add something? So some schools are very strong at in finance, for example. And a lot of investment banks come to their school to recruit students. Some schools may be very strong in IT. A lot of internet companies, software companies come to recruit. Some schools are very strong at consulting firms. So every school may be a little bit different, but you can look at these two factors to determine which one is best for your career objective.
So I know, so you're basically saying that we should look at schools that focus on particular sectors, perhaps, or stronger.
Yeah, each school tries to differentiate itself. So some are saying that we're strong in finance, some are saying we have a good balance, some are saying that we're more international. So you really should understand what you're applying to, because first of all, it costs money, and then secondly, it takes a lot of time to write up those applications.
So I know you have interviewed quite a number of candidates for your business school in London.
Yes.
Can you give us some tips of how we can get in and how we can better prepare ourselves?
Sure. We in our school in London, we have a system that everyone who applies to our program have to be interviewed. So if you are in the UK, you will be invited to interview in London. Okay. If you're not in the UK, then you have to interview with an alumni from in your area, in your region. So I volunteer many times in the past 10-20 years to interview applicants when I was in Hong Kong, Japan, and in China. So the tip, okay, so I think first you have to understand why you're doing an MBA. You have to be able to articulate, say the reason why you want to do it in a convincing way. Secondly, you have to really understand the school. The obvious question is, why do you want to apply to our school instead of the other school?
Sure.
Yeah, so you have to be able to tell the interviewer, me,
right,
why you want to do it, yeah, and who you are. What is your experience that is so special that we should accept your application? How are you going to help your other students learn more about things that you know and they don't know? So we all want diversity. We all want interesting experience in our program with our students, and that is the ingredient to attract very good companies to recruit from our campus, right? So we don't want people who are just very good at exams, like we have to all take the GMAT test. So obviously if you have higher score, then it's good. But when I applied, my score was like not the top. I wasn't very good at it, but my score was okay, good enough. But I had interesting experience with my work in Asia. So I got in because they like my experience. And some of my friends, they have really top scores, but their work experience is not so much, not so rich, but they also get in. So it's a combination of these two things.
Can you give us some examples of some interesting candidates that you've had?
Very recently, I have one applicant from Taiwan, a young man, smart, clever young man. He's a nuclear scientist. Well, he's a nuclear engineer. He works with nuclear power company in Taiwan. So he was telling me in the interview that the nuclear industry in Taiwan is declining. Actually, in the whole of Asia and Japan, it's declining because people are anti-nuclear. So he's looking at not a very good career prospect in Taiwan. So he wanted a change. So that was ping pong. That's point number one. He wanted a change, and he really wants it. So I recommended him into our program, and he went to London very happy. But then there's COVID-19. So everything suddenly is hopeless. No one is hiring. Everything is dead. But very recently, I saw in his Facebook that he's got a job with a German company, a consulting firm in Germany. So I said, congratulations. He said, yeah, he's really happy because now he can get out of Taiwan, which he thinks is a small place. There's no room to grow. And now he's suddenly working for a very good consulting firm in Europe, in Germany. I'm sure the salary is much, much higher than what he could get in Taiwan. And he's totally happy. And now he's looking at doing something that is actually more interesting. It's completely different. It's very different. And he can have a lot of opportunity to work with his clients in different countries, in Europe or in the whole world. And from there, I can see that when he grows older with more experience, he will have a chance to jump to another industry or jump to another kind of work. So that completely opens up his life.
You mentioned that people who want to change a career change should do an MBA, but in this day and age, we can just simply put our CVs and be online and be headhunted.
Yes.
And I've heard lots of employers who nowadays prefer not to employ people with an MBA because they have a high expectation in terms of pay.
Well, that may be what you have heard, but I was once head of a recruitment company, very large company, helping our customers recruit people. I was in the HR service. So what you are saying is really more like this. If you are working in a particular industry and you are looking to move up the ladder, be promoted and get more salary, having an MBA or whatever extra degree or even a PhD is not going to help you move up in your industry, in your company. No. Nobody cares what degrees you have. In a company, I ran companies, all I care about is performance, okay? If you perform better, then you get more salary. If you perform better, headhunters will come to you, and then they will hire you to another company, our competitor, with better title and better salary, right? That's how it works. It's never about MBA. I'm not gonna say I was a headhunter before, okay? I look at this guy, oh, he has an MBA. Okay, I will recommend him to my client. No. I will recommend him to my client because he is doing well in terms of his actual performance in his current job, right? Not because he has an MBA or PhD or whatever. So getting an MBA to get better salary in your current job, in your current industry, is the wrong idea. It's the wrong idea. You don't do that. So what I was saying so far is, if you are looking to change to a completely different industry or even a different country, then quitting your job to do a full-time MBA at a top school is a good way to try to achieve that. So I emphasize top school.
That's my next question, because not only over the last 20 years, we've seen a huge increase in people who have done an MBA, and we've seen more and more schools offering these courses.
True.
So you're saying that we must go to only the top ones?
Correct.
Or otherwise don't go?
Correct. Because you're just saying it because there are a lot more people doing an MBA simply because there are a lot more universities offering programs, but the number of top companies hiring from MBA programs is limited. The recruitment officers, they are not going to the second tier or third tier school. Those who have the money and the resources to hire people from another industry. Yeah, why do they want to do that? Because they are not hiring for an existing position. It's not like I want to hire more salespeople. No, my company is rich enough. I can afford to hire from someone who is completely outside our industry to come in and join us to give us some insights that we never have within our own team. And I can afford that, and I want the best of the best. So these kind of company, they do have position opening from outsiders. Okay, so that is the way that you can potentially get into one of these companies that you want to work for in a different industry.
Okay, so your advice would be, if you're not happy with your job right now, you should either do better at it, improve yourself.
Yeah, improving yourself is, no matter what, you should be improving yourself all the time. Yeah. So the bottom line is, if you're thinking about an MBA, ask yourself why you want to do it. Okay. If you're just thinking, oh, maybe I can get a promotion after I graduate from my MBA, no, it doesn't happen. Maybe I'll be headhunted because I have an MBA in my CV. No, it never happens. But if you're thinking, I'm so bored, I'm so stuck, I need a change, I want to refresh myself, I want to look at the world, and I want to see what opportunities are out there, then quitting your job to do a full-time MBA, I recommend 2 years. It's a good way to help yourself move forward.
At a top school.
At a very good school. Because only top school, good schools actually get those recruiters to come to recruit on campus.
What about for people who just want to learn? They don't want a career change, but they want to improve how they run their current business.
That is also okay.